Shana Tova. When I was about 5 years old, I think it might have actually been a little bit before I turned 5, I started kindergarten. And on the first day of school, we learned one sentence that we proceeded to say every single day of elementary school. I don't know why it didn't continue into high school, but I know it didn't. And that is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm sure we still teach it to our elementary school students right now. When I first started saying it, I must have known that I was going to be a rabbi someday, because I used to say, "Under God, invisible." But I finally figured out what the actual words were at some point. And I think those were my first words of introduction to the idea of a pledge. To take a pledge, which is one of the meanings of one of the main words of our theme this year, Aravim, like we are all pledged to one another. I have to admit, though, that it's hard sometimes to take the words of the Pledge of Allegiance seriously, because we say it with this kind of sing-say melody that we've all been doing since we were 5 years old and we first learned it. And yes, I'm going to have all of us do it together. The proper etiquette, of course, is to stand and face the flag and take off your hat. I do not believe a kippah is a hat. See, the staff, they know exactly what to do. Only the two of you are standing up. Nobody else is standing. I haven't said stand yet, have I? You take your hand, your right hand, you put it over your heart, okay? Now, if everyone would please stand. And here's the thing I need us to do here. Don't try to change the way you've been saying it for 50 years, okay? However you learned it, that's the way I want you to say it. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Did you hear the way all of us said that? It's kind of like the adult in Peanuts. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. I pledge myself through that symbol to this nation and what it stands for. For me, so much of what this nation stands for has to do with the fact that I'm a Jew. This country took in my mother, who was fleeing from the Nazis in 5699. That's exactly 80 years ago, through the highest immigration agency. My father's father came to this country as a baby, correct? From Russia, fleeing the pogroms, probably late 19th, early 20th century. This country took my family in. How many of you have immigrant family members who have a similar story? Let's just see hands. Look around. Almost every one of us has our hand raised. Now think about where you are today. Think about where you are sitting at this very moment. I pledge allegiance to the flag where we are possible, where any person, in this case a Jew, has the opportunity, the access to opportunity to begin with nothing and build, not easily, a life, to build a life that carries forward for generations. In fact, Jonas Salk said, "Our greatest responsibility is to be good ancestors." I pledge allegiance to the flag that is waved for democracy, for opportunity, for everyone. One nation, under God, indivisible. This, for me, is about unity. But I need to pause for one moment to say that I'm a little uncomfortable with this under God part. I firmly believe in the separation of church and state, especially in national pledges. And you think about the fact that there are so many people, I'm sure many in this room, who may not believe in God at all, and it gets a little dicey to have to say under God in a national statement. And interestingly, when it was written in 1892 by the socialist minister Francis Bellamy, it read something different. Listen to this. In 1892, this is what it said: "I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." It was in 1923 that they added the flag of the United States of America. And then it was in 1954 when Eisenhower convinced Congress to put in under God because he was fearful of communism. Does anyone remember, was anyone here in elementary school when they changed it and put in under God? Thank you for admitting that. So without that under God part, it becomes a pledge that calls for a unified, indivisible nation. Are we unified? Are we one nation? An undivided nation? We're more polarized now than we've been at any time that I can recall. Deeply, personally, passionately divided over so many social and political issues. The vitriol on the internet is like a virus. The web seems to give people license to say whatever they feel like saying without repercussion to each other and to all of us. And we read and see every moment of it, every day. It's unrelenting. And every subject is frustrating to some and justified to others. And one side is right and the other side is wrong, and each wants to scream as loud as possible, mostly at each other, to prove that they are right. Part of what it means to be in a democracy is that there will always be others who believe the exact opposite of what you believe in. And they are a part of our one nation, as well as you are. Now, please understand that when I say they, I am not referring to extremist groups. I'm not referring to hate groups. I'm talking about us in this room. We all have very different views. I don't know, there's maybe 700 people in here. Like any group of 700 people, there's going to be 700 views. I mean, if you really think about it, some might say in a group of 700 Jews, there's 5,000 views. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Unity, liberty, justice. The pledge calls for us to be a united nation with freedom and justice for every single citizen. Freedom from control or interference. Freedom to do according to our choice. To be a nation that seeks truth, supports all of its inhabitants, and delivers justice blindly and righteously. And any citizen who denies liberty to another, or any organization that's committed to hampering justice, does not live up to this pledge, doesn't live up to what we as a nation stand for. I want to pledge myself to a nation that believes in unity and liberty and justice. And to many in this country, to many of us sitting in this room, we have benefited greatly from those three words. But to too many in the same country, those three words are extremely distant, unrealistic, and absolutely impossible. And why that is evokes numerous accusations as to who is responsible for the ruining of our country, or who is responsible for bringing society down. On HuffPost, Jamie Varon writes about how we blame others for this breakdown. Quote, "To shift blame on others and to belabor the downfall of humanity by way of any number of things misses a crucial part of this picture, that you are humanity too. And we are all responsible for the shape of this planet and for the state of our world. And to point fingers and blame others is to rid yourself of responsibility. And truly, this is an epidemic, that people believe it's other people's responsibility to prove to them that humanity is good, while never taking a look in the mirror to determine if they are being that proof to someone else right now." Unquote. Looking in the mirror, that is the spiritual work that we do in this sanctuary. To be responsible for others begins inside of each of us. And that is what begins to connect us. I was struck by these words of the 19th century German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. Quote, "My own true inner being actually exists in every living creature, as truly and immediately known as my own consciousness inside of myself. This is the ground of compassion upon which all true, that is to say, unselfish virtue rests, and whose expression is in every good deed. Acting responsibly for others comes from our connection with every living being on the planet. We are all connected. Saving one being keeps the connections between all beings intact. Improving the life of one creature improves the consciousness of everything. Our sages from the Talmud understood this when they taught in Sanhedrin 37. Whoever destroys a single soul, it is considered as if they have destroyed the entire world. And whoever saves a single soul, it is considered as if they have saved the entire world. Imagine that power. I have a spiritual invitation for all of us to help us connect to the world in both a universal way and a particular and personal way. And the invitation has two parts. In fact, it has two pledges, Shnei Aravim, and I'd like us to make these pledges together, along with the other vows that you're going to take for Yom Kippur. I don't want you to think you're out of that by doing this. And we continue our Pledge of Allegiance as well. So in all, there's basically 3 main pledges and then all the other ones that you're going to be making. But I want you to think about these 2 for now. The first is pledge for another. Our spiritual connection to others has the potential to bring about positive change in the world. And our moment-to-moment lives have that same potential. So in this case, our responsibility to others does not begin with a faithless person in Burma, but it begins with that faith that is right in front of us. It begins with the face of our neighbor. It begins with the face of our coworker. It's the man or woman that is standing in front of you on the street. And our connection with them can be felt throughout the world. So I want us all to start with one person. One person that you pledge to bring support and positive inspiration through spoken or written word. You can tell them that you're doing this. You don't have to tell them that you're doing this. Try to improve the world by inspiring one person. That's the first invitation. Pledge for another. The second, pledge for the other. 46 times in our Torah, it tells us that we need to care for the stranger. 46 times. And we live in a world where there are many thousands of professional organizations that take care of people that are strangers to you. Whatever you care about in the world, there are people that are working to improve that in the world. Pledge for the other by helping one organization, one institution, care for the stranger, for people that you will never meet. If that means getting involved a little bit more in politics, then do that. If that means getting involved in social services and medical services that make a difference in our community or our city or our state or our country or the whole world, do that. We collect food here every year for the homeless. We collect diapers. We sent tons of clothes and medical supplies to Syrian refugees. We don't know the people that are benefiting from this, but we are being responsible for the other. That's the second invitation. Pledge for the other. This year, connect to making the world better by pledging to support one organization, volunteer in it, give a donation. If you already have associations you support, I look around, I know that many, if not most, if not all the people in this room support various organizations that do good in this world. If that's you, increase your support a little bit this year. Or find one other organization that needs you. Our 2 pledges. 1, pledge for another. Uplift one person with your support. Pledge for the other. Help many strangers through one organization that cares. Each of these pledges can cultivate unity in our nation. Each of these pledges can lead toward liberty. Each of these pledges can pave the way for justice. Nearly 2,000 people are listening to these words today. So that's around 2,000 individuals that are going to be personally, profoundly touched. And how many more thousands could benefit from this group pledging itself to take on the responsibility to be there for another and the other? From the inside and the outside, we connect ourselves to others with conscious compassion. My dream is that we can make this pledge and know through our two pledges that we are part of trying to make that Pledge of Allegiance true for everybody. For our final words, let's say it again. Please stand. This time, let's stay away from the sing-song, and let's really think about what these words are and what they can mean to us. And together, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we all have a sweet year. Shana Tova.